So guys, in this video we are going to see how to use ORM in our nodejs application. Okay, so generally whenever we want to connect any mysql with our nodejs, we used to provide the database details, which we know the last video. So we used to provide our username and password and all these things. Then we can write our query accordingly. It gives the data or it just inserts the data and all these things. But when you are having some proper framework like sequelize or any other framework, I think some other frameworks also available. But today we are going to see how to use this sequelize in our Node.js application to create a proper ORM structure. Okay, ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. And as you can see here, the sequelize supports Oracle, Postgres, MySQL, and MariaDB, SQLite, SQL Server also. We can able to connect it with just a simple configuration. Instead of mentioning the actual query, if you have the model that which we are going to create based on the table structure, by using the model name we can able to get the data. You can insert the data just by giving the data with the simple functions. We can able to do all these operations. You don't need to write any queries. All the queries will be generated by the sequelize itself. And one of the another configuration is, if you are doing maybe in the local you are doing with MySQL, in the production you are having Oracle or anything, or maybe after some time you are migrating your project from MySQL to the Oracle, then all these things is just you need to have a simple configuration where your entire sequelize will pointing to the Oracle database. The same configuration, just in a simple place, if you mention as Oracle, your entire sequelize framework will work with the Oracle actually. Okay, this is advantage of using the sequelize framework in the real-time application, specifically the concept of ORM. Okay, so let's dive into this concept, how we can able to use it. Okay, so if you see this, the documentation, if you want to connect with MySQL, we need to install two library. So one is as usual sequelize, the npm install sequelize. If you are using yarn, then you need to do the same thing. And in terms of MySQL, we should have the version of MySQL 2. Okay, this is the version that we need to use in order to connect with our ORM with our MySQL. Okay, so now let me install this dependency with our system. So as you can see here, okay, so let me install it. As you can see here, I am installing this sequelize MySQL 2 with my system. Yeah, it is installed. Okay, so now let's see what is the basic configuration in order to connect to our MySQL. Okay, so if you see here, they clearly mention what type of database. Here they have given only the example for SQLite and Postgres. I think that would be enough for our MySQL also. So yes, say yeah, here they have mentioned for MySQL. So I can go with the same implementation. So where is it? So database is as usual December 2023, and then username in my local is root, and I don't have any password. The host is localhost, dialect is MySQL, so I will go with the MySQL. Other than these things, I'm not having. That's it. Okay, so now the basic configuration for our sequelize is getting ready. Now let's see whether it is working or not. I think we have to use some async function in order to check whether the connection is successful or not. Yes, so this is the code which helps us to check our connection. Okay, so but only thing is we have okay, so as you can see here, my now the function is getting ready. Here let me run this application. Yes, as you can see here, our connection is properly created, and it shows that the connection is successfully established with our MySQL. That's it. Okay, so this is the first step in order to connect our MySQL. Okay, let's go for some simple model. Okay, as I told you already, we don't need to write any queries. Okay, all the queries will be generated by the ORM itself, but only thing is we have to define our model. So each table will have one model. As you can see here, first we will create this model. So I have a user table and name and all these things. Okay, yes, okay, let me define this one. So if it is very bigger applications, we have to create a separate folder. In the folder we have to mention this one, but as it is very simple initial stage, I'm going to define in this in same file. Yes guys, this is what the model I just copy paste into our application. So let me copy paste. Okay, so here I need to mention the table name. So my table name is, I think, users. Okay, so I need to mention user, and here there is some constraint is there. Okay, let's see what are all the constraint. So first name, last name, it is asking, do I have that column in my system? I hope no, I am having only the name. So let me mention the column name. It is important that we should have the same name, otherwise it will say like the column is not available. So whatever the column that you are having in your system, we have to mention like this. So email, and then the column criteria also. For example, here I mentioned it's a string column, and allow null, it should not be null actually. That's what you mentioned here. If I'm not mentioning, as you can see here, email can be null, but it is not needed. So I will mention allow null alpha. So now what is the purpose of this configuration means, whenever we are providing a data, in case if you are not providing a data, it will throw the error. That is the reason we are having this configuration like this. So let's go for password column also. Okay, so let me create a password actually here. So here I will mention the password, and allow null is false and all these things. Okay, these are all the columns is already there. Okay, so guys, in this sequelize, right, there is a one configuration, which means in sequelize, in the table whatever we are having here, it should have a three default column. One is created at and updated at. So these two columns should be available in the sequelize, otherwise it will not allow. It will not allow to do any other operations. It will directly throw the error as it expects this audit columns. Okay, so yes, even if you are not mentioning, it will expect in the table. So this created and updated, this should be available. If not, it will throw the error. But okay, so that columns I will mention it here and updated it. I can mention here created at and updated at updated at. Okay, so and this is not a string column, this is date, by the way. So I'll mention date. Okay, so this is also date. Allow null, as of now I'll just mention it can be empty because I don't want to provide the value. Okay, fine, yes. Okay, so these are all the model that I have created as per my table design. And one more thing, this table name should be in the plural, I think so, otherwise it will not work. Yes, okay, let's see. So here also I need to mention the plural here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I am going to get the data from this table. So how can I do it? I need to mention the model name dot find all. Okay, so that's it. So this will get all the data from the table. Get all the data from the table. This is the advantage of using this one. Okay, so this gives us in the I think in the array format. So let me mention it is in a console.log. I will mention all the row here. Let's see how it works. Okay, so now I am going to, okay, once it is done, we need to close our connection. So sequelize dot close, I think so. Yeah, this is must, because without this thing, if you are not closing, I think most people might know it will create some connection memory overflow or something. So which means your application will always, okay, I think it works. I got the data. As you can see here, I can able to get the data. Yes, it is working here. So it is in the data values. So in the data values, in the users table, in the data values, I can able to read all the data of our from the row actually here. Yes, I think as you can see here, it gives me everything properly. Okay guys, as you can see, it is working. But still, if you want to have a proper data, then as usual we can have our for each actually here. So row dot for each, and here I can mention obj arrow function log. Okay, so I can mention obj dot data values, I think so, data values. Yeah, so let me run the application and let's see how it, instead of seeing everything, we will see only the proper data from this framework. Yeah, so now as you can see here, the all the data whatever related in the database, you can able to see properly here. Okay, so in the object format, where did I, okay, as you can see here, now it is working fine. The last record is some Rashida. If you go to database and check it out, yes, the Rashida, as you can see, the last, this is the last record. And you can see, okay, now you may have a question like why this gender and the country is not showing here, because in the model I didn't mention the column, so it will not able to fetch the columns. So whatever the columns that we have mentioned here, only the particular columns will be retrieved by our framework. It will not retrieve everything. So whatever the column that I am mentioning in the model, that will come. In case if I am mentioning a country, okay, then what will happen, I am going to mention this country here. So country country, and it is in the string format. Okay, so string. Okay, now let me, okay, no need to add anything, just by adding the column that would be enough. Let me run the application. As you can see here, now the country is coming. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so let me do one more thing, guys. I will tell you one more thing. In now I am going to delete the column called created at. Okay, let's see what will happen. In the table directly, I am going to remove the column. So delete selected. I am manually removing this column. Click apply, click apply, click close. Okay, now if I run this program, you will see the error here. Okay, can you able to see the error here? The error is unknown column created at, which means I mentioned the column name in the model, but it didn't identify in the table, so it's throwing the error. Okay, so let me do one more thing. Now I am going to remove this column manually from the model itself. So fine. So now it should not throw the error, right? But if you run the application, yeah, as you can see here, it is automatically it mentioned the column name. Okay, so the reason why it is this is called audit columns. Most of the applications will have in the different meaning, but when we are using the sequelize framework, it will expect this column to be available in the table. Okay, that is the reason this column should be added in the table. In case if it is not available, then it will throw the error. Okay, so now I am going to create this column here as created created at. Okay, it is must that if you are using this ORM framework, we should add this column in our application. Okay, so date in the table. Okay, so apply, apply. Yes, now if you run the application, it works flawlessly. Yeah, now I can able to read the data. Okay, so guys, this is called the ORM of sequelize. So every ORM will have their own structure. So this ORM is expecting this one. Okay, so now the main advantage of this thing is whenever you want to get the data, you don't need to write select star from the table name. Just mention that user and find all, it gives all the data for you. Okay, the same way in case if you want to store the data, what you need to do. So okay, so guys, now I am going to, as you can see here, I have created data. So how to insert the data means first we need to create a new user. Curly braces, I need to mention the column name as well as the value. So the column name is name. So this is the name, right? So we need to mention the name and then you need to mention the value. The same way email and then value, password and then value. Now what will happen? Whenever we are going to insert, the value will be inserted to the appropriate column. Okay. So this will insert to the name and this will insert to the email and all these things. Okay. So at the last I need to call this method user.save. This user is nothing but the previous line I have the user, right? This one only I am just mentioning user. So now user.save will insert the data. So I have run this program already. So as you can see here, I am just having the data in the 171, which is the new data. Okay. So in case if I run this one more time, let's see, I will have a, yes, it is worked. Let me refresh the database. As you can see here, I have the one more data sequelize with the multiple one more time because I executed one more time. That's it. Okay. So this is how we can able to insert the data to our database using the sequelize. For update, we need to use this method called update, as you can see here. Now we need to use the same model name. So the same user model that which we were using for insert and find, we were using the same thing. Now we are using the same thing, user. So here I mentioned user.update. Inside this update, we need to mention the two parameters. So one is the column which we want to update. Next one is for which row we need to update. Okay. So as of now, let me go to the database and I am going to mention that password. Okay, password is missing for this 170 row, this Rashida, right? So for the 170, I am going to update this record. So the column name is password actually. Okay, so this password and the data which I am going to update is password is I am mentioned like sample. Okay, so let me remove this one because as this password the column I am mentioning this one, for whom I am going to update is the ID is 170. Okay, so currently this column is empty for this user. So let me run this file. As you can see here, it is updated. Now let's go for the database, refresh it, and we will have some value for this column. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, as you can see, this is Rashida. She got this password. Before it was empty, but now it has some value actually. Okay. So this is how we can, generally we can able to update this one using our framework. If you see here, we don't need to provide any query. Just by giving the column name and then value, automatically the value will be updated with this ID. Okay, let's go for the last one, which is called a destroy. So destroy is nothing but it is the delete. Okay, so here it just only one condition, so this condition should match with the record. So whatever the records matching with these conditions, it will automatically delete the record. So here maybe I will mention this 169 I want to remove it. Okay, so here I will mention 169, this will remove the record. So how can I able to do it? Just do it. As you can see here, 169 which will be removed immediately. Yes, so now this 169 will be removed from the table actually. That's it. Okay, so this is how it will work in our system actually. Okay, so now we have done all these four things, which means find, then what we did is insert. Where is the save method? Save. Yeah, this save, insert, destroy, update. Okay, so all these things we have done, and which was working fine actually. Okay, so if any doubts, just put it in the comments. We will see.